Now, one of the annoying parts about Krakow that I noticed is that public transit is not that great. The Krakus Mound, where I'm going right now, says 45-minute walk, or if you want to take the subway and buses, 42 minutes. There it is. Let's talk history about the Krakus Mound. It's named after King Krakus, who's the mythical founder of the city of Krakow. Apparently this mound was built to honor his death way back in the day. At the core of this particular mound, there's a bunch of wood filled over top with dirt and grass. No human remains were found inside this particular mound. Most people tend to believe that this is a site of a Slavic colony back in the 7th and 10th centuries. It's sad, but this part of Krakow is actually often overlooked on most tourist itineraries. Not only do they have the Kraken Mound behind me, but there's actually a quarry only 200 meters from here. It has a bit of a dark look to it, I must admit. Super creepy. No one around. Rusted out buildings, rock cliffs, a pool of water. So this is one of the main sites I wanted to see in Krakow. It's off the beaten tourist path, but it's right near the Krakow Mound. This is the Liban Quarry. It's most known for the fact that in 1942, the Nazis used this as a forced labor camp where 800 young Poles were enslaved here. 21 of them were actually executed on this site. So it's a bit of a memorial ground too. The city's left it as is. As you can see behind me, there's a lot of decay overtaking this particular structure. But all within the quarry here, there's a whole bunch of vegetation and wildlife coming into it. There's actually a municipal work site at the entrance. Now, technically, I don't think it's illegal to be in this site. However, they don't really like you going in there. So they'll tell you no, 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 and get aggravated not to go in. The best way to actually get in is the same way I took behind the Kraken Mound. The other interesting piece of history, more modern, is in '93, Steven Spielberg actually came here to film scenes from one of the particular concentration camps for Schindler's List. Now you can actually see some of the remains of the particular filming itself. Behind me there's these structures where they actually filmed the barbed wiring. You can see the poles for the wiring in there still. Now, as sad as this part of history actually is, I think it's important if you're in Krakow to come here. It's only about a 25-minute walk out of the downtown core. A lot of people miss this site entirely. I highly recommend you come out here and check this out. It's not like anything you'll see anywhere else, that's for sure. Anyone who's seen the movie Schindler's List will recall there's scenes where a roadway is made out of tombstones. And I actually found them, they've left them here. And it goes without saying, but these aren't actual legit tombstones right here. They're just made for the movie itself. They were just too heavy to lug on out of here when they finished filming. So this is the Heroes Square. It's made in honor of the heroes of the Ghetto. It's hard to think, actually 13th of March, 1943, so almost 75 years ago, the Nazis liquidated this particular ghetto right here. They've done a memorial to it right there. This particular site is where they were boarded on the trains to go to the concentration camp, so it's a bit of a solemn site here. So this behind me is one of the main sites here. It's the Wawel Castle. guy was outside, so he knows where to go. This is it. There we go. It's like a hidden entrance. Thank you. I guess that happens so much that they frequently need people to be shown the way. Hello.
Hello.
Alright, so this place is known for its zurek, a white borscht. I'm going with the potato and sausage one right here. And they also recommend going with the okokim. So I originally screwed up my order. You gotta read that carefully because it didn't come with the bread bowl. She came out of the kitchen just carrying a regular bowl. I'm like, oh, that's not what it's supposed to be. So anyway, she was a little ticked off, but she put it in the bread bowl for me, thankfully. So careful when you order. See how hard it is to actually find this place. All right, off to a bar. I think this is the bar I'm looking for, and it looks like it has, yes, tank beer. That's what I'm after. That's where the beer comes from, right up there. All right, so why did I pick Bunkier Cafe? Well, partially the ambience, but mainly because of this. Tank beer. Now, what is tank beer? Tank beer is a bit different because it's actually stored in a tank at the bar versus coming through as a keg. It doesn't go through that microfilter process. So basically, the very day that the brewery makes their batch and finishes their batch, they transport it over to here in a truck, and then they put it directly into these tanks, which are up to 500 or 1,000 liters sometimes. So you could, on very good circumstances, you could be drinking beer the very day it's brewed. Because unlike a keg, the beer doesn't actually come into contact with carbon dioxide or oxygen. Fun fact, tank beer can last 28 days after delivery or 14 days as soon as you crack that. However, most of the time, it's gone by 14 days. The temperature is always maintained to 6 or 7 degrees Celsius at all times. And as you can see, it's not filled with all those carbon dioxide bubbles. And obviously, because there's no carbon dioxide, there's very little head on this beer. All that to say, it goes down really smooth when you drink it. So tank beer, do I recommend? Hell yes, come try it. Even if you're not a beer snob, you'll clearly be able to taste the difference between this and a regular beer. This is the vibe here. It's got 2 rooms. There's the Thai steam.